Well, hello, folks, and welcome back to a amazing day. And my cold is almost gone, so sorry my hair looks a little ruffled. Um, so I don't know if you guys realize this, but this is just not a normal day, is it? Not a normal day at all. This has always been one of those awesome days that we could all celebrate. We can have some hot dogs, hamburgers, brownies, cookies, iced tea, a little bit of beer. If you guys don't mind, if you guys are old enough to drink, but I'm talking about that this is not just another day in July. It's July 4th, 2021. It is. Alright, so it is 2020. It is the July 4th, 2021. We have made it to another Independence Day, and there's fireworks going off in the distance from my house. I do not see them, but so, ladies and gentlemen of the vlog and of the radio show, welcome to the Massachusetts radio show, Independence Day 2021, here for America's 245th birthday. On this day back in 1776, we wrote the Declaration of Independence, which told King George himself, with his spectacles. Well, we all signed it, and King George needed his spectacles to read every single signature except John Hancock's, of course, who wrote it super, super big. So on this day in Philadelphia, we signed and declared our independence from the clutches of the British, even though some historical accounts say it was overly exaggerated, saying we got overly exaggerated. We kind of wanted to be our best. We kind of wanted to be on our own, so we had to declare, you know what, we're going to fight for our freedom, even though that fight for freedom lasted a lot longer than, even though we declared independence from England and King George, we had to end up fighting King George and the redcoats, or the lobster backs as we used to call them. So yeah, it was us versus the redcoats back in those days, and we did not win until the end of the. We actually didn't win to the end of the. Till the end of the 18. Actually, not until the end of the 1700s. So, yes, we signed our independence with the Declaration of Independence on this day, July 4th, 1776. And we've had to fight for our freedom and for our independence ever since the War of 1812. The Civil War, and all the world wars, just to make sure the Nazis didn't, just make sure, World War I, World War II, make sure that the British didn't take us over again, make sure that 1812, to make sure that the British didn't overtake us again, and then obviously we declared our strength as a nation, and right after that, we actually ended up. Well, it actually wasn't until a little bit later that we actually established our first president, which was George Washington, of course, as number one. Today's been sort of a quiet one today. It's about 10:40. This isn't going to be a long one. This isn't going to be super, super long. This is probably going to be about 15 minutes. So, so I ate, so I contacted the folks today. They wanted to make sure I was doing all right. I actually talked to Megan for about an hour and a half. We were talking about stuff, and we were having a good powwow for about an hour and a half, even though I was talking for like the last 20 minutes. The conversation was amazing. It was good. It was great. Been watching a lot of movies, some racing, NASCAR, IndyCar, watching a bunch of Star Wars movies, and just watching a little bit more of the tube. I just have it turned off right now while I record the vlog and stuff like that. So, so yeah, so I'm thankful that we actually declared our independence on this day. So if it wasn't for that, I probably would be talking to you guys with a British accent if our founding fathers didn't man up and say, you know what, we want to free ourselves from British rule. I think at that point we established that we looked at the land around us and we understood that there was a lot we could do, and we had quite the nation to play with, and there was a lot of land that we had, and we didn't really want to keep that with Britain, because we thought Britain was powerful enough that they had many, many territories to their name. Britain would, of course, conquer different continents over the next couple hundred over the next couple hundred years. They did actually conquer a lot of land. So India, Africa, Kenya, a little bit of China, because I believe the Chinese and the English go together, and I think there's a little bit of Britain, and I think there's a little bit of Japan in there. I believe the Vietnamese, that was the French, but I just want to say, everybody, happy Independence Day to all of us. It's been in the last year or so, it has been difficult. There have been some trying times with events and stuff like that, and we've, as a nation, we've managed to stay strong while all this is happening. I just want to pray for all the military and all those who have served our country politically and military-wise, that have kept this country free, and all those people out there that make the decisions, even though some of the decisions that get made are questionable. But I won't get into that, because pretty sure we had some questionable governance, the Articles of Confederation back before we eventually got what we know today as the American government. I just want to tackle that for 1 second. A lot of people are like, well, why did we do that? Why didn't we just have something like Britain? Well, the reason why, small historic fact, the reason why we did that, folks, is because we didn't want big government, and we didn't want big government, because we already dealt with that for we dealt with that for many, many years under the British. So the Articles of Confederation was, it was a governing body of a sort. It was kind of, the Articles of Confederation was a governing body of sorts, but it wasn't a very, we ran the country the way we wanted it to, but unfortunately, we weren't running it the way the British were running it because we didn't want people to get taxed or anything. We didn't want to tax people too high because of that. That shell shock from getting taxed and getting hurt by, well, you guys know we got taxed. We got taxed on tea and all that other sort of stuff when it came across the sea, and we had to pay for it. We had to pay for a bunch of wars and stuff like that. So we got taxed because of that, and we weren't represented in Parliament very well, and taxation without representation, that sort of thing. And it made us very weak. We really couldn't. It made us very weak. We really couldn't fight for ourselves, quite frankly, because even our Continental Army, the Great Continental Army that with the help of the French took down the British and the Germans. More on that later when we actually get, because more on that later. But anyway, that really didn't help us out because we kind of needed taxes to promote the nation's strength, strengthen the army and stuff like that. And that kind of hurt us in a number of areas when we were trying to fight the British later on. And that's the reason why they almost retook the nation back in the War of 1812, because we were weaker, because we really didn't have the government we really needed, and also the leaders weren't very good. There was a lot of fighting. There wasn't too many parties back then. There was like one or two of them, but only one really ran very well. It's just amazing just how far our nation has come and not come, because we're kind of still bickering about some stuff. So it's kind of in the fabric of our government, and it's kind of in our history that we've had government that's not very decisive. But I won't get into that very much because some people will hate me. But yeah, that was kind of part of our march to independence. We kind of needed to do that. And we kind of needed to do that in order to move ahead. And a lot of people will say, "Oh, a lot of the stuff that we're dealing with now, we've never dealt with." Well, when we gained our independence, the fight wasn't all that rosy. And when we actually, as I said, when we did gain control of our nation, Britain said, "Okay, we're leaving," and stuff like that. And they signed the treaty, and we actually ended up but the British came back not more than, I think, like a decade and a third later, about 10, 12, 13 years later, and they said, "Oh hey, little colonists, oh hey Yanks, well welcome, can you welcome us back in? We want to test to see how good you guys are." And they were like, "Oh hey, so how's the whole you want to guys be on your own thing going on?" And we almost got our asses kicked in the War of 1812. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the White House got burnt down. So a lot of people thought, we're not very strong. And it was the War of 1812 that kind of kickstarted the belief that we kind of needed a stronger country. So what we did is we took what they used in their country and we applied it to ours, but we made things more American, and we found out how to fund ourselves and tax everybody, and make it so that we could actually survive. And it wouldn't be anything with that if we didn't. If it wouldn't be anything like that if we didn't first learn about how all that worked. And so our road to independence wasn't all that rosy. And the nation, of course, went through so many ups and downs over the years that we we sat there and we were like, we don't know what the hell to do. Um, and that's when the Articles of Confederation got. That's when the Articles of Confederation. I think the Articles of Confederation got abolished, and we started our own government and we started our own system. But it was still too weak but it was better balanced. But I think starting out, we didn't quite have the horsepower that the British did, because the British have been around a long time. Versus us, we'd only been a nation for we'd only been our own nation practically. We practically only been our own nation since 1776. So if you do the math, we were only a man. We were only a nation. We declared that we were independent from Britain, and we established the America in 1776. We didn't really become a fully fledged country until we won the Revolutionary War in the late 1700s, and I think the 1790s, I believe. So we were only really on our own, and didn't have British presence in for, I think, like a little over. I forget when we won the war. I think it was like 1790 something. We were only in there for about, maybe we only been independent, I'm gonna say, for maybe about a decade and a half. So there wasn't very much we were doing at the time. We were still young. We were about a decade and a half. We were about a decade plus old. We were only 13 years old. We were a young nation back then. And Britain, thousands of years old. Thousands of years old. And a very strong nation, by the way, because there have been medieval times and all that other stuff. So they've been around quite a bit, and they knew how to, and their government evolved into what the powerhouse it was back then, and the powerhouse that Britain is today. Because Britain, out of a lot of nations, Britain's still a very, very powerful nation. There's us. It goes us, China. There's us, Britain, China, Japan, well, and Russia. So those top five, we are the top five superpowers of the nation. And China and Japan financially are kind of really dominant, because they're the ones that have all the goddamn money, and the ones we actually have to goddamn borrow from, because the freaking Democrats don't want to do freaking anything to shut this deficit that we unfortunately got ourselves into this freaking spending spree that we should not be on. But but that's a story for another day. But anyway, but then again, the Republicans also have fingers in so many pies, and they screwed it up over the last couple of years. I'm looking at you, George Bush, yeah, and stuff like that. Even though it was the Democrat Party that started the whole financial crisis thing, and stuff like that, and there was a bunch of other things. There was a Democrat Republican conundrum. Unfortunately, the Republicans got tossed under the bus, and we kind of got the chain reaction that we did, and which is the reason why we're in a topsy turvy world right now. But I suspect, because we're America, we're gonna lick our wounds. We're gonna get better, because history showed that we've had some weak governments in the time, but we usually recover. It usually doesn't take too long for us to recover and get back up. So and this is more than 15 minutes, so. But I figured, since this is Independence Day, I'd throw you guys a long one. So, I don't. Just to reiterate, I don't hate Republicans or Democrats. I think both of them are equally, equally bad in their own ways, and it's just us, the people, just to live our lives and make sure Broforce. What the frick is that? I will have to check this out. Thomas Gilkey's alive, so I'll have to see what Broforce is. But anyway, guys, happy Independence Day, America. Welcome, and welcome to another year of your life. Happy 245th anniversary of America. Let you shine strong. You're a wise old lady, but you'll keep going as young as you are in the ways of the world. We're a strong young nation, but we're a strong nation, and we're young in the ways of the world, but we're very strong. Even though some people say we're weak as all hell because of our government, but it's really us Americans, us Americans that make this country spin and revolve. The politicians only do their job just to make sure everything stays in. It's really us, the middle class, that actually keep this all going. So yeah, everybody, I bid you guys an Independence Day. Hopefully, you guys, if you guys are gonna party today, tomorrow, make sure you guys just drink responsibly. You guys don't do anything stupid, because we already have enough craziness going on as it is with COVID-19 dwindling down and us trying to get all vaccinated. So yeah, I will report to you guys from tomorrow. 2:10 is going to be tomorrow. 2:11 will be Wednesday. I'll update you guys what is going on with my doctor's appointments, because I have the doctor's appointment on Tuesday afternoon at 2:00. I'll see you guys later. Oh yeah, and everybody, long live this great nation. Let it live for another 240 years. Also blessed that we have our freedoms and our rights thanks to our founding fathers, and our difficulties that we overcame in the 245 years that this great nation has been around, and stuff like that. And and I've got to live 32 years. In the 32 years I've been alive, I've seen this country grow and do a lot of great stuff over the years, and times are going to be good. Also, pray for my friends. Let them all stay strong. Let them overcome their obstacles, and just bless them for the great people that they are. So, Tom, Megan, and April, I'm looking at you all interviews as well. Pray for your souls and your mentalities. Let you overcome anything, and keep your lives going, and don't quit. And also give me the same energy, and I'll give you guys the same energy. We'll go back and forth. So everybody, I bid you a good day. Happy Independence Day 2021. Peace out, everybody. Good night.